That's Toya.
That's Mike.
This is Tech Beats and Bytes. Hey Toya, how you doing today? How you doing?
I'm good. It's Wednesday, feeling like Friday,
Really?
but I'm good. Yeah, them days just be blurring together. You like, wait, what day is it?
So I was 2 minutes late because I got caught up listening to the Breonna Taylor
Yeah,
situation.
no, I haven't seen the latest yet. So go ahead and drop the news. What's the latest?
I don't have all the information because some of it is hard to just take in, but for the most part, they're not charging anybody of what they should be charged of. It's like some
Nonsense.
D class felony where one officer is getting charged of firing bullets into a space where occupants are at. Nothing about the actual death. I don't know. Just feel sorry for the family. Sorry for people of Louisville. Sorry for Black people. Just sorry for people that want justice. Don't know how to feel right now. Probably. Well, no, I should have watched it before I came on the show. Part of me wants to be angry. Another part of me is not becoming numb because I think we are doing as much as we can with our part, but a part of me is disgusted by some of our justice processes and the things we take other people through, or the things other people that commit crimes go through. But this immunity or this, the fact that they actually do get the innocent until we can prove otherwise, or why we should even convict them versus innocent to proven guilty, because it's obvious they're guilty. She was sleeping and she's dead.
Right.
Even if you're looking at the I guess the basis of negligence and just unlawful performance of duty. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how to word this, but it just doesn't feel right. So that's where my head is right now.
No, and rightfully so. And, just election season is here, right? Local elections, though, a lot of those positions that control what is happening right now, those are passed. So when you're thinking about wanting to see change, you got to put the right people in the right places. You got to know who these people are, what they stand for, and how they affect your everyday life. We talk about it all the time ad nauseum, but it's like it just continues to show its face. How are we going to show up differently? How are we going to make a different impact? We can't keep doing the same things expecting a different outcome. Like, what are we going to do different to see the change that we want to see? How are we going to show up? How are we going to vote different? If you're not into voting, then how are you going to show up at the council meetings? How are you going to show up in their office, writing letters? You got to put the pressure on.
I don't know. I guess the part of me is you already kind of knew it was coming when they started boarding everything up. It wasn't like we was expecting something positive at that point. Guess you can never know how bad it's going to be until the bad is delivered.
Right. And that's the part I saw this morning because, virtual school, all that good stuff. So I haven't been watching throughout the day. But this morning, that's what you saw. All the businesses boarding up their spaces. And it's like, okay, so some bull about to come, basically, is what you're saying. And it just speaks to the unrest that we're in right now and just the insanity of the fact that, like you said, you could be home, minding your business in your space, and then have some nonsense come in your house, and then now you're accused of trying to stand your ground. Oh, but because they're officers, now it's a problem. Right.
Or, I'm just thinking like when it's I don't know, it's just when it's a a citizen how fast these arrests happen and how quickly things are collected. But when it's a officer, it's just so meticulously. How do we make sure they're not guilty of it?
Right.
It's just not the same justice system. I don't can't even talk about the BS that Donald Trump did this week. Just um, so Daniel Cameron, as Dante has stated, Daniel Cameron is Yellow Belly, the Kentucky District Attorney. Is he Republican? Is Daniel Cameron? Was he a Republican? This DA? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Voting people. This is when we're talking about down ballot.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Attorney General. Yeah. This is where down ballot comes from.
Yep.
This is that's the one thing about the law. It's based off of interpretation. But if you don't have someone that's looking at your interest being in hand, that interpretation will lead itself. I mean, that's the advantage of. That's why you have a defense attorney or prosecutor. They're interpreting the law for the best way to fit their clients or to fit their client. But I don't have a better way to say it. I wish it could be more poetic, but there's no better way to say it. They're gonna do what's best for that person. And I understand when police departments want to get behind state attorneys and district attorneys, but if they're fully supporting them while they're still doing corrupt stuff, you got to understand why would I support somebody when I'm doing corrupt stuff and I've never get convicted? There's incentive in that support, and it's starting to come out.
Yeah, and one of the officers made some quote where he was basically like, I felt like we did the right thing that night. And it's sad when the good guys get demonized and criminals get canonized. And it was like, so you just right. Okay. That's what we're doing. We flipping the script. Okay.
And there's just, I'm looking at some of our comments. Granted, Donald Trump is affecting some things, but if another justice come in, that's y'all not coming up for midterms. If you keep having these Republican district attorneys, that's not showing up for primary elections in your midterms. Like, most of the shit we're complaining about don't have nothing to do with Lil Orange Man. It's everything else. And
everything else.
He executes the law. He does not put the laws into place. I don't. Maybe we just need to do a Civics 101. Y'all not getting it. And it's one of those things where you get to a point where you can tell me you understand, but y'all aren't getting it. Because if you got it, you wouldn't be doing the same shit you're doing now. It just wouldn't be going this way. And we got a video that's coming out from Ben Crump. But yeah, we're just going to have to start a Civics 101 campaign, because we got it. It's like explaining graphic design to some people or explaining marketing. Just because I understand it doesn't mean my clients understand it. So you have to explain it to them and make them value it. But the thing is, it's still up to my clients to execute the information I give them or the way I consult them. It's the same thing, but I know y'all not getting information. And when I say y'all, I'm not talking about the majority of the people that's following our show that are voting. I'm talking about the idiots that are on the internet's complaining about everything, but then their follow-up is, yes, I've never voted. What are you doing, fam?
Right.
The hell are you doing? Literally disgusted. I feel sick to my stomach. I won't have to go to Troy's and get some barbecue to ease my soul or something, but yeah. So on a more positive note, I was an affiliate and a friend and a associate and a part of Digital Grass has come back to the surface after her long hiatus of raising a beautiful child, which we should get an update on. So now us the justice. Let's bring. Oh, you damn dog! I didn't even get to say it.
And she's gone.
Let's bring Q to the stage. Q to the stage. Hey, are you?
Hey, everybody.
Hey. Hello.
Today.
Is everything going okay?
Everything is good. I don't know if I'm light at the end of the tunnel right now because the conversation you were just having is still fresh for me off of conversations I've been having with a very close friend of mine for years. And I've had a hard time explaining to her this struggle to the point where this week I'm contemplating our friendship. So I don't know.
You know what?
That's a real dynamic that's happening right
I was
now.
about to say that's a compound question. From the complications with friendships, we'll definitely get into that. I want to put a pin in that. But as far as the light at the end of the tunnel, no, you're the light that continued to shine. I think a lot of people probably wonder where you went in your association with Digital Grass, and people got to understand we're a professional organization and we work with a lot of entrepreneurs. Sometimes our friends and people of our organization they extend beyond us and they do their own thing, but when they come back, it's like family. You come back and we get it popping. So I know some people may have wondered if there was any kind of beef or look, Q was always going to do her own thing. Yeah. You'll be amazed. People talk, man. But I know you of course took your necessary hiatus to have that beautiful child of yours. It's a little boy, right?
Yeah.
Hmm?
You had a little boy, right?
No, I had a little
Yeah.
girl,
Oh, a
and
little girl, right?
I'm not like some people have a glow up during pregnancy. I don't have a glow up during pregnancy.
That's a
So
rare
I
thing.
am, yeah, I'm flat out on the bed, throwing up all day. I don't have stamina. So I literally had to stop everything.
So that was one of the reasons when you stopped with us, and it's like okay, and
Yeah.
people don't understand postpartum and everything that goes through being a mother. You know,
Hmm.
Hmm.
and the moment, like you said, your pregnancy was a little bit different than Toya's. And if you look at the retrospect
I
of
had that glow up.
Right.
it. And so,
Right.
you
It's a
know,
glow down now, but it's
yeah,
good. It's good.
don't
It's
be mad.
ready to be tired.
Don't be mad because Taco was on the show when he showed up. But I'm glad to have you back. But I just wanted it to be clear, like, and I think it's also good for you to let people know that, like, everything ain't those damn Instagram pictures with those filters that y'all see. It's rough sometimes. And
I
so, welcome back to the spotlight is what I'm telling
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. I
Now,
literally just had, just so you know, the power of thought. I literally had the thought maybe 3 days. I literally had the thought 3 days before Toya reached out to me. And I was like, wow, now if I could manifest $10 million like that.
you could. The thing is, have you actually thought about that 10 million? Have you
Wow, I'm
thought
working
about how
on
to
it now.
execute?
Listen.
You got to put that whole thought. Like you knew how to make the call to Toya, but Toya just made the call. So you got to figure out how do you actually make that 10 million, and then it'll come.
I told a friend, I said, wow, this was confirmation to me that I'm really powerful. For real, it was.
Self
Yeah.
assurance. That's what you need. Tell us what you've been doing though. The people don't know. Some people seeing you. I know you've been developing a lot of content, but let us know what have you been working on these days.
Well, I'm very excited about one of the things I've been working on. It's very fresh. It's in pre-launch phases. It's called Confidently Connected Tribe. And it's a tribe of women who want to feel spiritually and entrepreneurially supported every day because we go to these conferences, we read books, and then we step out of that field and we fall flat on our face. And I know that the number one thing, top three for entrepreneurs, is getting out of your own way, getting out of your own head. And so constantly helping you build yourself up and develop yourself. So that's the latest thing that I'm working on. And I've developed a new respect for moms, especially moms in relationships, because or marriage is totally different to be a single mom, I know now, than to be a mom in a relationship.
So which one is easier?
Single.
Well, you got to unpack that.
I was about to say.
Don't spill the tea. Don't spill the tea on your personal biz, but just from a theoretical
Nah, I want to know
perspective,
what
right?
you do.
No.
It's not to spill any tea. It's just a totally different set of responsibilities. You have to
Right.
be way more organized. You have someone that you are co-parenting with, that you got to check on certain things with. You have someone who has expectations of you. You have expectations of them. So it's just a different dynamic where moving as a single mom, I'm just moving in the wind doing my own thing. I don't have to answer to nobody. And, some people might look at that like, oh, you shouldn't have to answer to anybody. It's a mutual respect thing. What I expect of him, or he expects of me, and just looking out for one another. So
yeah, and that's a real dynamic, right? Especially when you think about the new modern family and how people are coming together with their own set of kids, and then they may have kids together, and then the parenting structures are different, the way that they handle their kids and discipline, and sort of navigating that space. I'm sure is really an interesting dynamic because with us, we've been together for a long time, so then when we had Sakari, it was different, and then that added a different dynamic. But I'm sure, to your point, going from being single and being able to do your own thing to now having to consult with somebody is like, pause. That's a whole new step in my process.
And he made me a better parent too. So, I thought I was doing a good job, but he definitely brought some new light to the situation, to being a mom, to being a parent, where I parent a little bit different than the way I parented before.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just want men to take note. This is one of those things when you shut the fuck up, because this ain't my field. So keep on going, y'all. Because but people need to hear this, especially because both of you ladies are entrepreneurs. And I think, like you said, that's very dynamic when you're talking about engaging in a relationship, raising children, and still running a business. That's just something I don't know. That's not my field. So, but it seems very interesting.
No, but that's a good segue, because that was the next question I was going to ask, because Q's been very vocal on social about navigating the space of being a parent and a business owner, and how you kind of reframed your thoughts on the child interaction in your day-to-day life. So I wanted you to kind of unpack that a little bit and share some insight on how you kind of grown in that way.
Okay, so at first I thought I was doing a really good thing. This is nothing to anyone else, but I thought I was doing a good thing by giving my daughter a lot of exposure to business and how things are working, totally forgetting that, what's the thing? It's probably not even up here. I think it's back here, but the prefrontal cortex. Thank you. Is not even fully developed. She didn't even know what was going on as I was taking her into these spaces. And so that was one thing that I probably would do differently. I would wait until she is a teenager to begin exposing her to the business or entrepreneurial world. As far as me navigating the business space, I have to operate totally differently than I did before, because I have two. The 2-year-old requires much more of my time than the 12-year-old. So I have to wake up very, very, very early in order to get any business stuff in. Like, I actually do not operate between the hours of 9 to 5. My business time is between 4 and 8:30, and then 5 and 10. All emails, all phone calls, all of that stuff goes out at that time. And then
we're 9 to 4 a.m. to 8:30, correct?
4 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. is when I operate business, and 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. 9 to 5 is dedicated to the children, because prior to COVID, I started homeschooling the 12-year-old. So, and that was something that was even more important to me than my business, making sure that she had the education that I thought she should be exposed to.
Now, your homeschooling, besides, like STEM and basic things, did you extend yourself back into teaching her about entrepreneurship, ownership, and more life skills that you see not being like developed in public school systems?
Yes, but I realized that I needed to start from a different point. So one of the points that I needed to start from was character. And, how to build character, how to not look on Instagram or Pinterest, because that's her age, and think that these people just voila, magic, had it appear. I had to start teaching her about all of the back work that it takes. Because if you ask my daughter, she thinks I'm a celebrity. This stuff
As you should.
This stuff I'm doing right now, we watch TV sometimes. She goes, Mommy, I think you know that person. Don't you know that person? I'm like, Naira, this person is like, I don't know that person. So she thinks I'm a celebrity.
But mom is supposed to be the superhero, so maybe it's the aspect of at least she's seeing you in that light. But that's a positive light. But I think the biggest thing is, like you said, I know we had talked about a survey, and like a lot of teenagers, that's their thing. They want to be Instagram vloggers, superstars. But how many of them actually know the work, or as they say, the 8 to 6 years you put into it before you blow up, and then the percentage of how many of them actually make it to that level versus how many of them are trying. But I remember when we were doing Tech Meets and Bytes in Wynwood Yard, she got up on the stage and she did her business pitch when she was selling. So she was 8 at that time, 8 or 9. So now she's 12. So even if you're saying her mind didn't understand, she still comprehended a lot of it. She at least knew the dynamics of ownership, sales, profit margins, and everything else. So what do you think when you say you wouldn't take her through that? Is it not that experience, or is it around being around adults and liquor too soon? Like, what part of the experience do you feel might have been negative for her? Because I thought it was dope. So as a parent, I would have probably done the same thing.
Adults too soon, because one of the things she had a tendency, thankfully we've broken it, she had a tendency to think that she was on the same level as an adult, so she can carry on the same, a conversation with an adult. And we both agree that, that's a problem. No adult is your friend. You're 12. So no adult is your friend. My friends are not your friends. No adult is your friend, not even your uncle. Your uncle is your uncle.
Right.
So when I'm talking about she's homeschooled, she wants to enter back into school in January. So I said, okay, fine, you have to earn it. And, all the things that I'm constantly talking to you about over and over again, how can I trust that you're going to go back into someone's schoolhouse and you're going to carry out what the teacher says? So at the beginning of the year, we sat down and we had her make a plan. And I just asked her, she doesn't like when I coach her, but I just asked her a bunch of my coaching questions, which is, what do you want? What is the goal? The goal is, I want to enter back into school. Okay, well, what do you have to do to get back into school? What do you think? How do you think you're going to get there? We went through everything from her eating. Do you want to be slouchy and slumpy all day? Are waffles and syrup going to get you there? Or do you think this broccoli and these lima beans or whatever are going to help you stay focused and energized throughout the day? So she made these decisions. I just asked the right questions. And the thing that we're working with now, I'm always reminding her of, is good character. Nothing is just going to come. What you practice, I've even made her write this like for homework 200 times. What you practice becomes your habit, and your habit becomes your way of life. If the character that I'm talking about, when you leave your room in the morning, you should know that if mommy goes in the room, I don't have to worry about be looking over my shoulder all the time. Oh my God, is my door opening? She's going to open my door. She's going to see that I did not, make up my bed. When you walk out of your room, you should feel so good and so fly about yourself. Oh, she could go in there all she wants because I know she's not going to find anything. That's how it should be with homework. That's how it should be with whatever your chores are. Most importantly, because when you go to someone's schoolhouse, you only get one chance. When you go in the real world, you only get one chance. After that one chance, you get a label. So how do you want to be labeled, Naira?
So do you feel your transition in motherhood also help you with your transition and what you're doing in business?
Absolutely.
Describe that journey of how you started making those transitions with your motherhood growth. How did that help you as an entrepreneur and a business owner?
One, it helps me to be more organized. It helps me to be more focused. I recently joined a health and wellness company, and they ask you to develop your why. As entrepreneurs, we hear that all the time, develop your why, develop your why. But for some reason, the way they asked the question, I sat down and I said, oh, what is my why? What am I really doing this for? And I had like this life-changing thing happen to me where I asked what my why was, and all of a sudden My brothers started popping into my head because one of my brothers have been incarcerated for most of his life. I have another brother who's incarcerated right now. And something popped into my head, and I go, oh, my why is definitely to interrupt and disrupt this legacy of imprisonment in my family. Like, it's not going down over here in this house. Develop those kinds of things. Developing those kind of whys helped me overpower my biggest fears. They literally pull me up every morning out of the bed at 4 a.m. when I don't want to get up, because I remember something way bigger than me, which is if I let this whole like, oh my God, I don't want to call this person, I don't want to send this email, I don't want to do this. If I continue to do that, it's not going to just impact Naira and Naomi. It's going to impact their children and their children's children, because I can only imagine who and what was happening before me and my brothers that got us to here where we are. So I have to do something amazing. Can I tell a story?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a story of Mike trying to tell me something very similar. He probably don't even remember, but trying to tell me something.
Mike as in me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, the other Mike.
This Mike right here.
Your dude might be Mike. I didn't know who he was talking about. Go ahead.
You tried to tell me something a couple of years ago, and I heard you, and I followed what you said, because I'm that type of person. If I believe that someone knows something better than me, I'm gonna listen, and then it might hit me upside the head later. But I was having an event at my friend Brock's spot, and it was like a conference for women or something. And I don't know what I was doing, but you pulled me to the side and you were like, listen, something like, I need you to command this room. And I was like, okay. And you were like, don't ask people, just tell them, just tell them. So basically what you were trying to teach me in that moment, and at the end of the event, you were like, and you need to charge more. What you were trying to tell me in that moment was to believe in yourself more than anybody else. And once you believe in yourself that much, you will go on to do bigger and better and greater things. So that's the number one thing that the way I parent now has helped me do, is believe in myself beyond anyone else's beliefs. So.
No, that's
Well, I
dope.
tell Dante to take the camera off me before I start crying. I do remember. I told you to take charge of the room to control the conversation.
Yes.
Because the conversation was veering off of what you wanted to focus on, and you brought people there for a reason.
Right.
And when I saw that reason, they were veering from the reason. And I told you to take control of the room. And then when you were seeing the impact in people talking to you, I came back and said, you're not charging enough. Because what you want to make and what you want to do, you'll never make it here charging the price you're charging. So I do remember that.
Yeah. And I think it was something like, I don't know, $49 or something. I don't remember what.
Yeah, but other people at that time were charging like $179, $299 for the exact same thing.
Right.
And I think you were giving food and drinks, and Brock had set it up. But I remember that event. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember that. That's dope. To know I had that kind of impact at some point.
Yes.
But I was going to say, I like what you just talked about with the why, because, you know, all of us kind of mentor different people, and we talk about that. I know I talk about it a lot. And what a lot of times what you see is that they give you a very surface reason for why they're doing their business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you don't have something that is more deeply rooted in a reason, then that's not going to keep you going, because the shit gets hard. Like, it's no joke. It gets real, and you need those sort of reasons that's like, okay, if I don't do this, then these are the consequences. And I'm not gonna not fulfill my purpose and my destiny because I'm being little in this moment. So that was good that you were able to have that whole experience, because it makes a difference. Yes.
I feel, you know, I was just telling another lady I was meeting with on Zoom earlier today. She was talking about, we were talking about her just launching her business 5 months ago during the pandemic. And I said, I think there's two types of people right now in this pandemic, where one set has allowed the pandemic to cripple them, and then the other set has allowed it to give them wings, and they just took off like, oh, it's a pandemic, party time.
Right.
Let's go.
I mean, I think, but even with those two kind of people, I would say you get deeper into the type. Some people can't take the capacity of the intensity. So basic survival is their means, you know.
Yeah.
Other people are crippled to the point that they can't do anything else. And it exposed the amount of people that are living check to check, or not even check to check. It exposed the amount of people that are living day to day. I think one of the things a lot of people haven't taken to realize is looking at some of these food banks and the amount of people that are in line standing just waiting for food. So that goes to some of the people that are kind of, you know, if you haven't built the company or did this during the pandemic, I mean, I personally know, I know my mother with between the pandemic, another flood just hitting Panama City, the PTSD of Hurricane Michael, worrying about my grandmother. Like some people just being okay is the win.
Yeah.
It's not even making it to 2021. Can you make it through the next 18 hours? Can you make it for 24 hours? Can you make it for a week without that bout of depression or without that bout of the setback or sitting around realizing how much is going wrong versus being able to appreciate that you're still here? So I think that's a lot of battle that we're dealing with. Now, I know you've been developing more content. Seeing your face, I remember us trying to push you on the camera, but what am I supposed to say? I remember you telling me, I was like, you always got a lot to say, just say it and formalize it into one thought. So what kind of content are you making now? What have you been developing these days?
I don't know what happened. I just started having so much fun and finding
good.
What really happened is all the stuff that's always been here and here, I just decided there has to be a way for me to do it. Mm-hmm. And I just decided to start looking up the ways to do it and tapped into all these resources out there that make it easy for me to do what I want to do.
Can you tell the people that's watching some of these resources? Because
I was going to say,
yes. Tell us some of the resources.
Well, okay, so one of my favorite resources that is very, people don't really know how to use it, so they think it doesn't work for them the way they want it to, is Canva. If you see a Canva tutorial or something, you need to take it because Canva can really do a lot. And, you know, all the changes that they've been making, you could just do everything there. I've learned how to do some video editing in an app that I use called wevideo.com. You heard of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but we're making notes of it. So
okay, so wevideo.com, you can do everything in there. You can record a podcast, you can, you know, record on your phone, take it over there, edit it, chop it up, put a cover on it. You can do a lot of stuff there. Anchor.fm for this podcast that I'm working on. And then I discovered, because I'm very musical, if I knew about the name is escaping me, but if I knew back in the day, probably 15 years ago, I probably would have chosen a different career as a producer or a beat maker, because I'm very musically inclined. So I found all of these websites that you can get music or you can buy music. I've been spending hundreds of dollars on music, and Babe is like, why? Are you gonna make music for people? What are you doing? I'm like, I can't help it. It's just, it pulls me. So you could just do everything out there.
Is that the next thing you about to start making beats? Is that what we're looking forward to next?
No, I'm not going to make beats, but what I am working on is very moving, is like an African meditation album. So it has African sounds with my voice over it to meditate. When I found it on wevideo.com, I felt so inspired. I just started creating the meditations.
I would buy that. I would download that.
Oh, so you telling us you meditate?
No, I would buy it though. You know what the thing is? I have an unresting brain. I can't sleep in silence. I can't sleep with the TV off. The moment I have very lucid dreams. I've had dreams that have been predictions. I've had dreams that have literally woken me up out of my sleep in tears. So the TV allows my brain to go somewhere else so I can rest. But you try to, like, that was one of the hardest things about my trip to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I had like one little
Don't
show.
have it.
I had one little show that I downloaded, and I would play that show on repeat at night to go to sleep. But that only lasts for an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours. So
Mm-hmm.
the next 6 to 4 hours, the dreams were insane. That's where a lot of my creativity and visions and stuff that I'm still executing came from those 10 days over in Africa. But me in silence doesn't work. So my meditation is creating art or working out. That's my
Yeah.
meditation.
There's all kinds of different meditations. That's the ease I give
Mm-hmm.
people, which is why I created a course called Beginner's Guide to Meditation, because the number one question I've received since I was 16, when people find out that I meditate, is how do I meditate? How do I start meditating? And
Yeah.
I'm like, they think that they're supposed to go into like this Zen-like phase. That is going to take you years to do. Just listen to what's coming to you, because what's coming to you has a purpose. You're getting that information for a reason. So
Look,
just
the
listen.
last time the TV was off and I had a dream, I predicted my cousin's death the day of. It's hard for me to be in silence. And as you can't see it, but Dante is talking about, because Dante, of course, was with me in Africa. He
Right.
remember that night I woke him up in the middle of the night telling him what happened in that dream. And some of that stuff manifested. And it's crazy. But when I tell you, like, literally had that dream and went into counseling that day. And then I told Alicia, told her briefly about it. I didn't want to answer the phone. My dad called, because it was my dad and my mom in the car. The car split in half. A baby and someone they cared at some point of their life died in the back of the car, but they lived, but they separated. So my parents are separated. So that was a part of the separation and detachment from family. But I didn't know who the person was that died in the back, but it had to be somebody younger than them. So my dad calls that night, and I'm like, oh, look, please, this man cannot be calling me to tell me my mama died. So I ignored the first call. Then he immediately called Alicia. So I knew it was going to be something bad. So I was, in the counseling, I was like, I need to call him real quick just to make sure everything's okay. And he was like, I just want to let you know, your cousin Bryson died from COVID, but I didn't want you to find out through the internet or through any other platform. And I was just like, fuck. Like, I was mad because I knew it was coming, but I didn't want to hear it. So I've had to start working out. Working out has been more so my energy. But I do believe what you're telling people, like finding their own strength, finding their own way to taking in information and deal with things, is something we need to focus on, because mental wellness is definitely an issue that's left out of our communities.
That's happened to me a lot. So something happens when I have babies. The portal opens up more. So with my second daughter, the portal opened up and it hasn't closed yet. So I recently also just had two of my friends' parents who passed away come to me and let me know in a dream. Okay, I'm not psychic anyone. Come to me and let me know that this was their time. And so I have actually been questioning, like, okay, why are you giving me this information? Not sure what I'm supposed to do with that. So I'm still trying to figure that part out. I don't know.
I've stopped focusing on what to do, and I've started focusing on the priority of which part to get done. Because I figure at some point it's going to be disruptly, and it's just up to me to figure out what legacy I leave behind.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of the focus. And I guess I could see with you being a girl mom and now having to be the influence of not just one amazing daughter, but your second daughter. That's a lot of good things to deal with. So I wish you the best on that journey. But it seems outstanding to hear. For one, you, like you said, you have to go into this darkness, but without darkness, there is no light. And I think it seems like your darkness has allowed you to expose more light or to shine brighter as you've been able to gather yourself and pull yourself back in. So
yeah,
amazing to see that. But I just noticed the content. I noticed the consistency of your posting. And I always tell people, it's like one of those things. Understand the algorithm and understand how things work. I proved this last week when I posted a Sweet Sticky Thing video versus anything business related. Sweet Sticky Thing video, artistic expression, 500 views. Business related, 40 views, 1 like. So you have to know. But of course, one was in story, the video was in story, the other stuff was in stream. There's a lot more lurkers. Most people, even when the TV is on, they're sitting around scrolling through their phone. So
Yep.
be consistent, because it's not like people aren't looking and aren't watching it. As long as you stay top of mind when something happens, it's a higher chance, if you're consistent with your posting, they're going to remember, oh, this person provides that service, or oh, such and such does something like this. Let me reach out to them. So that's why, like, basic photography, some video creation, just doing little things. Because sometimes when you're creating stuff for clients, it doesn't manifest your talents or your ability, because you still have to tone it to the client's expectations, especially when you're doing marketing, consulting, and design. There's a lot of times I would say the first logo we do for a client is great, but what the client wants is like, oh, ain't nobody adding that to their portfolio, but let me go ahead and get this check. So, there's always a difference between you've hired me to be an artist to create versus you've hired me to be a graphic designer to execute your vision. That's two different fields. It's very different when someone trusts in you, like, oh no, this is the name of the company. As long as you use these colors, I'm sure you'll give me what's best. Versus, oh, I don't know what I want, but it ain't that. But can you change this? Can you wait?
Are you like, I don't know what that means?
Oh my God, I relate to that so much.
Like, you don't know what you want, but you know it ain't. And I always tell people, that's cool. It's just a different budget for you don't know what you want. And I basically got to read your mind to figure out what it is you want. And some people are like, but that logo, it was hand drawn, it was custom, and looked so much better. Why did that one cost $1,500 and this one cost $5,000? The extra $4,000 is for the headaches, the conversations, and convincing you that the first logo, revision. Even though we ended back up the first logo, you wanted to see everything, or you wanted to try this. And I always say, I have no problem trying anything. Just know that every time we try something, I'm building. Because in my head as a designer with 14 years or 20 some years of experience, I can already see what something may have looked like before I put it on. I'm like, ooh, that's going to look horrible. Like, I don't need to see that. But they're like, no, I just want to see what it looked like. It's going to look like trash. But if you want me to show you trash to convince you it's trash, that's 2 more billable hours, because I got to design that trash that you're looking for. Right. So I think, that's one of the challenges of consultants. People don't, you can save a lot of money if you just trust your consultants. You waste a lot of money if you go to one doctor and tell the doctor, I don't really know if you know how to diagnose what's going on with me, so I'm going to go see 3 other doctors. You might end up with the same opinion, but you still got to pay those other 3 doctors. So that's all it's down to.
But going back to your point about consistency, Q, I want you to give some tips about how you're able to manage your business and be consistent in your posting. Like, what are you using?
Yes.
Really break it down, because for those of us who are moms, right, or have multiple things going on, that time management is real. So give some of those tips, those gems.
People don't believe my tips.
Give them anyway. That's on them.
People never believe your tips till you're richer than them, and then they want to catch up. So give them to them now.
Okay, so my top tips are planning out your content. First, asking yourself, what do you want? What do you really want? And writing that all down without judging yourself. And then from there, saying, okay, how am I going to make this translate to the community? Planning it out 30 days at least in advance when it comes to content. I use schedulers like Planoly.com. I used to use Hootsuite, but not so much really. I enjoy Planoly a lot more. I also noticed Canva has a scheduler now for anybody wondering. And I make a lot of worksheets. I should probably start selling them. I make a lot of worksheets for myself, like things to do. I'm having this launch. What am I going to need for the launch? I'm very step by step about what I'm doing. I don't try to just rush off and do it. What is it that is everything entails? And so, that's really the top tip. And then I guess on the woohoo side of things, when I get an idea in meditation, or if I'm driving in the car in silence, or I don't really wait. I'm trying to practice this thing. And what is it, like inspired ideas? If I get the inspiration, I move on the inspiration right away. Even if it's just picking up the phone and calling someone for 2 seconds saying, I just wanted to put this out here, I'll give you a call back on it, because I realized that there's a reason that came to me. Maybe they were thinking about me at the same time. I don't know, but there's really magic in that. So those are my tips. That's why I say people don't really believe it. And waking up for moms, waking up before the rest of the house. You cannot think you're going to wake up at the same time as your kids or your husband, the family, and that, oh, they're not going to bug you. You got to wake up hours before them, do what you got to do, and then you can tend to them without all that worry, that anxiety, and that stress. So my life these days is about how can I eliminate as much stress as possible so that I can enjoy myself and I can enjoy my family, because I really do enjoy my family. I love these little people in here.
I think one of the tidbits you gave, though, is actually very true, because I made 2 of those phone calls a day where I just had an idea and I just reached out. The biggest thing is a lot of people have to get over the arrogance of thinking, even though you're successful, even though you're doing things, people are just going to reach out to you to make stuff happen. But even with that, now, so some people I'll reach out, hey, this is what I was thinking, run the idea bomb. How do you think this will work? And if it concludes with I'll find out, let me follow up with you. Okay, they probably won't follow up. I will make the follow up, or send me an email, whatever it concludes with. But at the same time, once I've offered that olive branch 2 or 3 times and you stop following up, as my post said yesterday, people like ghosting, and I respect the dead, so may they rest in peace. You get to a point where you have to understand certain people just are not collaborative and aren't going to execute. And those will be the people that once you make it in that celebration party or that article hits, they're going to be the first ones in your inbox. Like, oh man, I've been meaning to reach out to you. Let's catch up, and just continue to ignore them as they ignored you. I do believe a lot of people in South Florida have to understand the difference between working with somebody and making somebody chase you to work with them. Everybody's trying to do their own thing, but nobody's going to chase you. But at the same, a lot of people do need to take more initiative. And so for me, I just make a priority, like you said, with that list. What do I want to accomplish? What things will bring me the most satisfaction because I'm looking at making impact? And then what things will continue to pay the bills or build that legacy? So you get to a point where it's like, all right, I'm going to reach out to this person. I'm going to engage with this person. Let me ask these questions, because it's easier to ask questions and get that yes or get that no, or to hear the, oh, well, this is a great idea, but this is why I wouldn't be involved, because you're always going to be a student of the game. You're always going to be learning something in the process, but you have to engage with people. Jay-Z still has to reach out to certain people when he want to execute a deal. Granted, some people may reach out to him, but it doesn't mean you get to just sit back and wait for things to manifest. Manifestation just mean that here's the opportunity, here's the idea. Now it's up to you to execute it from there. And that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, no, action is real, because if you don't put the act together, this is gonna be like, all right then. So you wait for what? Come and knock on your door.
Right.
Oh, well, you just keep waiting then.
Right.
You just stay down.
Yeah, opportunity knocks, but you ain't even built the damn house for the door for them to knock on. So build a house.
Opportunity, like, what's the address?
I don't even know where you at. You in a condo? You traveling?
Right. Yeah, no, but that's a good point too. Q, to kind of talk about that a little bit, like taking action and putting things into place. Now, especially with your schedule kind of being split, you have your evening shift and your morning shift. What does that look like for you?
Well, 4 to 8:30 is about trying to fit yoga in, because yoga got me out of postpartum depression. So trying to fit yoga in, trying to fit meditation in, trying to fit emails in. And I set little reminders in my phone throughout the day, call this person at 11, even if I only have 5 minutes or so. I plan everything out, y'all. I even plan out dinner. And if I don't have time to do it, I am training the 12-year-old to do those kinds of things, like plan us dinner for the entire week, make the grocery list. I'm going to the grocery store. All of that stuff is important because the more I coach women who are moms or who are in a relationship, they're expecting all of this stuff to just fall in their lap. They're not remembering that you have to plan. And then I just also want to touch back on another point too, where the way that I move forward is one day I kind of just remembered back to what Mike was trying to tell me a couple years ago. One day I kind of just remembered who I was. Like, I think sometimes we forget who we are. And especially if you have kids, you tend to translate like your dreams and your time to your kids. But who are you? Why are you here? What's your purpose? And then as a Black woman, I mean, nobody can tell me anything. I just think I'm the ish. So, but that has to come with time. I didn't always feel that way.
Yeah.
Very much of a side note, and oddly speaking, I just realized the father of your child, we spoke for the first time today, and we haven't spoken in 3 years.
What?
Yeah, I just realized that.
You spoke to him today? He's down there doing his thing.
Yeah, on Facebook.
Oh, he's just been typing away too.
Yeah, we were talking about African culture and aspect of, and you're a Beyonce fan, if I remember correctly, right?
I do love Beyonce.
We were talking about the culture inspirations of Beyonce in her last video, her last production,
Black is King.
I haven't watched it yet.
What?
Really?
I haven't watched it yet.
That's a project for you tonight with the girls.
Yeah, watch that. You need to watch that. Well,
I don't watch that much TV. When I do watch TV, it's because there's something that he's watching. Like we just watched this thing on privilege and wealth on Netflix. The week before that, we watched the thing you guys were talking about with Janae last week on social media. Mm-hmm. I forgot what it's called, but
Social Dilemma.
Social Dilemma. So that's another tip. Many of the things I cut TV out a lot, but I do have days where I will just binge, but I don't really have any shows that I need to watch except for Insecure and Power. Those are a must.
You should definitely watch Lovecraft Country.
Mm-hmm.
Lovecraft Country. Okay.
On HBO Max.
HBO. Okay. Lovecraft Country is off the chain. So on some social issues, just because we gotta keep some things together. How are you guys feeling? There was the no more rum or tobacco, no hotel stays. Trump imposing his new sanctions on Cuba. How are you guys feeling about the Cuban support for Trump when Trump seems to not care about Cuba at all?
So for me, right, a lot of that, I think you have to look historically at why Cubans tend to support the Republican Party. And I think it's just tied more to that and not so much to the issues. Some of them will say that it's kind of related to the issues and kind of going against communist or socialist leaning policy that they may attribute more to the Democratic Party. But no, I think it's the same thing, right? When you see people who support politicians who clearly go against their interests, but they do it because they're tied to the party instead of the issue. Mm-hmm. It's a similar dynamic to where it's a loyalty. Just like you have brand loyalty, right? I'm gonna die. I only buy Dove for my soap. And Dove could come out with something that just don't work for your skin. And you're like, but I'm gonna buy Dove till the day I die. It's the same sort of thought process. Again, I'm not Cuban American, so I can't quite speak to that. But I would say, and it's a touchy subject. You'll see a lot in South Florida where you're talking about politics and Republican Party. And what's interesting is that a lot of the newer generation, right, the third generation who've been here, they're kind of starting to divorce themselves from that party loyalty. But it's an interesting conversation and one that I think we should possibly have where we're talking about Civics 101 and just sort of really breaking down a lot of that.
I would say that one is a question, and also the discretionary or the difference of opinions for Haitians, the Haitians that are Republican and the Haitians that are Democrat. Those Haitian groups, them posts, I literally go there for the comedy because, I mean, you're talking about extremists. I've seen no middle ground on those. It's like 10,000 Haitians, Dade, Broward County, or something like that. I mean, it'd be an all-out battle. I'm just like, man, y'all can't pick which party y'all like. I just don't get it. So I'm just saying.
The friend that I was talking about, she is Cuban. And this was the conversation we were having. And so my answer to the question is because they don't really know their history. They think they know their history, but they do not know their history. And many times they know the history or the stories that their parents who were on the other side have told them, and then they haven't actually researched it for themselves. So it's very important for people to know who they are.
So Alicia has stated that's a different Cuba, which is true because there's the lighter shade of Cubans that just happen to forget that Black Cubans exist. And then as Pete has put in here, low info voters. And then Dion has stated mostly the lighter shade of Cubans here that don't recognize that they are Hispanic support him, just saying, which is very true because there's a different world for Cubans if they just want to get right around Gainesville on up, or at least an hour and a half north. An hour and a half north of Orlando is a whole different world. Florida is one of the only states that I think I would support a separation of states for there to be a North Florida and a South Florida. Like there's a North Carolina and a South Carolina. I believe Florida does need a part of separation because they don't get it. Now, another topic, another situation that you guys may not have seen or noticed. Did you guys see the video of Booties to the Pole?
No.
So
go ahead and indulge us.
Booties to the Poles is, I know it's actually kind of catchy. So it's actually strippers that give Civics 101. So they start off with just a stripping video. So if you think about it, Booties to the Poles is actually POLLS versus POLL.
Right.
And about 30, 45 seconds in, it says, do I have your attention now? And it's like, now that we got your attention, let's talk about getting your butt out there to vote. And then the first comment they make is talking about appointing a district attorney that prosecutes the crooked cops that everybody is protesting. I didn't watch it past that. I stopped because that was so dynamic to me. I'm like, bruh. And this is why I need to get on the phone with our friend, Attorney Crump. If strippers have made it to a point that they have to distinguish to tell people the difference between a civil attorney and a district attorney and what district attorneys actually do, we have an educational problem of our justice system because I can't have that argument no more. And people just don't know the information. But I thought it was actually catchy. And I asked some people, I didn't really leave any comments on it because I want to say before this conversation, but I asked some people how they feel. And one person said it was a great use of the platform. And it's like, hey, it got my attention and I watched it. I paid attention to it. But there's a whole advocacy going on for consensual sex workers, as they're calling them now. And a lot of people don't realize that there's a whole thing trying to go on for the legalization of it, which would, of course, lead to taxing and everything else. But are we in that much of a position that we care about making it rain more than we care about voting, and it's now taking a stripper to make you realize the power of your vote?
Yes.
Well, first of all, TNA's been selling since the day it existed, right? So when you think about sex sales, sex brings you in, sex does all of that stuff. And I think it's more of a commentary on the people. Like, you need to see some TNA before you can really pay attention to what's going on. Like, we've gotten to the point to where we just do not want to be informed and educated unless it's entertainment. Like, oh, you got to show me something. Give me the glitter, the glam, and then I'll listen to what you have to say. Which goes back to education, right? So reading comprehension, just some of the basic stuff, right? Being able to analyze, strategic thinking. Like, where is some of that? Where is all that? Where did it go?
Do you ladies think we're at that capacity because we're numb to all the negative things that people just feel nothing can change?
I think a lot of people feel like things cannot change, but I also have the viewpoint that that's because people limit their existence as well. They tend to think, they tend to go based off of where we are right now and taking our history back like maybe 100 years, 100. They forget like there's possibilities, like things can change. So we have to keep people optimistic. And I do think that whoever came up with this booties to the pole, I think they're kind of brilliant because they decided to play on people's interests. Amanda Seales did the same thing in a video I discovered with her and Sunny Austin from The View. I hope I
Okay.
got her name right. You saw the video with her. So she has this character that she does that gets real ratchet, and she starts out looking like a rap video, and then she brings in Sunny Austin, but she stays in character and asks her questions as this ratchet character. And Sunny somehow keeps a straight face and gives answers on why Ruth Bader Ginsburg is important and
Mhm.
all of those things. So, I mean, it's a tactic that people are using right now, I guess. And if it's working, it's working.
So this has been amazing, but a quick close out, Dante, keep it all in frame, everybody in frame. Just for quickly for somebody needs to hear this. Look, guys, I understand the outrage, but for the people that's at Wells Fargo, they not leaving Wells Fargo. I understand y'all mad about what that CEO said, but we're not talking about the quality of service. I had some great feedback from Brian and Carla and Fabiola about different banks that offer services and how they do their credit loans and how they look at your line of credit based off of your portfolio. And those are all great options. I'm not really currently seeking a loan that could change. But what I did do for each one of those banks that were suggested, I went and looked at their executive leadership team. They were just as white as Wells Fargo. So the point of the matter is, let's streamline. And although I want to make sure you guys are clear, the people that gave me these additional banks weren't coming out of rage. But the other 84 posts that I saw of related topics were definitely coming out of rage. If you move your bank from one big corporate bank to another big corporate bank, it's probably going to be just as white. And the fact of the matter is, at least Wells Fargo had the courage where they're actually showing their diversity numbers, making sure they have a diverse hiring board, and they're talking about the improvements they want to make. The same platform that you're making that complaint on has a diversity problem, and they're not posting any of their statistical numbers because they don't want you to know how bad their diversity is. That platform would be Facebook. We're going to be mad for a long time until we start building our own things, building our own banks, and banks that don't have fees for savings accounts, and banks that have the same technology and the same ease of use. Because it's not like we actually go to physical banks anymore, but the technology matters. But let's stay focused and let's just build the things that we're continuing to complain about. Because frankly, they've shown us they're not going to fix those problems. All they're going to do is keep hiring people with the letters to make you feel better about yourself. So, to all the chief diversities offers out there today, I hope you're having an amazing day at work. And I hope your speaking engagement to talk about the new attitude of diversity that you want to bring to your company has been implemented in some way, shape, or form to make you feel good about your job. And that's it for today. So, I would like to thank Q for coming on. Q, welcome back. I am glad you made it through your journey. I'm more than excited to know that you're still dealing with that smart ass man. Is very much, as I know, a reflection of me. So I can understand because he is a jerk. But that is my boy. I'm so excited about that. But I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for manifesting your dream. I'm proud of you for pursuing it. And for also, the biggest thing I would take away from what you said today is you're becoming better, which means you've accepted not your flaws, but you've accepted the continuance of growth. And I want people to understand that it's not about, admitting your flaw. Everybody is flawed. We know that. It's the acceptance of growth and being willing to grow. And to see that within you, I'm just happy about that. So congratulations. Um,
Thank you. This was so much fun. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. And your information was very useful. I think this was great. Not,
Absolutely.
I understand it was dedicated to mothers, but I think a lot of fathers can understand from this because this is how you have that assist. You don't always have to be Michael Jordan. You can be Scottie Pippen. LeBron does a lot because he has Anthony Davis and because he has Rondo. It's about the assist sometimes. It's not always about the score. So I think there's a lot of men that should watch this to understand how they can support the women in their life, whether they're a mother of their children or just a woman in their life. So I think this is very educational for
Now he's going to go back and watch it from the beginning. Thanks a lot.
Well, I think he should know that you gave him that shout out. So I think it's very good that he hears that. Because all I got was, yeah, she up there yapping. Is that what she's doing now on the show?
This is what he does all the time. He says, "What are you talking about now?" I'm surprised he didn't come in here and say, "Oh my God, here you go."
That's my boy. So, anyways, thank you very much. So, all right, guys, that's Toya.
That's Mike.
And this is Tech Beats and Bytes.